Hi, Colin.
Hello.
How are
Oops, in fact, I
you?
can't hear you. Uh, Testing.
Hello.
Ah, excellent. Hello.
Oh, how have you been?
Good. Just a little crazy as I apologize for coming late, but I got tickets this morning to leave for a month and a half and been packing, moving my cats. Walked back in the door about 2 minutes ago and I leave at the end of the meeting. So thank you for your
Oh, you bring
patience.
the cat with you on the trip?
No. I dropped them off for
Okay.
here while I'm gone. I wish I could bring them with me. Um,
Yeah, that would be nice. Anyway, Colin, I want to appreciate your time and your flexibility in your busy schedule with filming, traveling, all of that. So I appreciate you having a short time to come on to the Cat Chat podcast.
Well, thank you, all three of you, for being flexible with my time and coming in even a little earlier than we planned. It helps
Not
me
a
not
problem.
miss my flight.
Yeah, we'll just go with the flow. And I'm like, okay, Colin gotta go do a movie part about out there.
Yeah, it'll mean there's another one for you to review in the future.
For sure. Okay, before we get into everything, I wanted to learn more about your background. Like what inspired you to become a director? What put you into movie making? And another follow-up question, who was your inspiration or what movies were your inspiration?
Totally. So, I think the answer for me is that I grew up watching old movies. Like my mom is a huge movie fan, and we watched Turner Classic Movies and rented tons of videos from Blockbuster and Best Video, which is actually near me, which is an amazing place that has like everything. Um, and I also was kind of a computer nerd, and I did animation and visual effects as a hobby. And then I did theater. So I always say that directing is kind of theater plus animation. And as an audience member, as a fan of the medium, I kind of realized that, hey, maybe I can actually do this. And I went to school and I added a film major while I was in college and kind of pursued from there. And I guess a lot of my inspiration really goes back to kind of classic Hollywood. In fact, in a lot of ways, I say that Hallmark is kind of Hollywood in the 40s. But like I have a, a poster, a lobby card for Arsenic and Old Lace right here. I have one for them over there. So, for me, really the kind of the classic 40s comedies are where I took my initial inspiration. But I also love Little Shop of Horrors and like anything that's got a really intense genre energy. Um, so that's kind of how I got started.
That's nice, yeah, because I like to hear where they come from and where their inspiration come from because a lot of movies are really well made or well written as well as directing. So I wanted to hear the perspective. So I was really excited to see that Hallmark was doing Passport into Life. I loved all four movies. I loved all four movies for different reasons and specific reasons. Machu Picchu Proposal. I had a really great time talking with Alex about this because my father died of the family from South America. So finally they get to do a movie in South America. I have not been there. So I told my dad about the movie. He was like, well, now that's another excuse for me to take you to Machu Picchu. I'm like, yeah, well, better now than never. You know what I mean? Because he was trying to get me to go to South America or Spain while I was growing up. Felt like I had no interest. I was like, okay, South America, okay, Spain. But then now I realized that I'm like, so tell me about your experience about Machu Picchu, Papote, and the directing of the movie.
Sure. I mean, I first of all, I watched both your reviews of all those movies and your interview with Alec, and they were both excellent. And Alec is the best. Um, and so we did. So the producer David Boyles and I, and the executive producer Tim Johnson, we did two movies back to back last year. We did um, Polar Opposites is what it released
Yeah,
as, and then
I heard
immediately
about that.
rolled into Machu Picchu Proposal. So David and I went down in I think October, and we kind of went to scout and like look for where we could shoot these things because we were trying. Initially, we planned to do Polar Opposites in Antarctica, so we were going to go to Ushuaia, which is the very southern tip, because that's the launching point, and we were going to shoot a few scenes there, and then we were going to get on a boat and go to Antarctica. But at the last minute, it kind of didn't work out. And so we reevaluated the plan and came up with this new plan where we shot a ship in Brazil, and then we shot some in Ushuaia, and then at the last minute we went to Peru to finish the glacial elements. But we kind of went down and we did a three-country tour quickly to scout. We scouted Ushuaia, and then we did Calafate, the glacier there, which is fabulous, but very impractical to shoot. And then we traveled over to Peru and toured the Cusco area and the Sacred Valley area, and then went back to Brazil and started the movie. So it was really kind of a ballistic trajectory where it's like we had been there, but most of the team hadn't. Um, but Peru was fantastic. I would highly recommend. In fact, I'm playing with this little uh, alpaca
Oh,
that Rhiannon gave me. She gave everybody these on the day in Machu Picchu. That's good luck. And I tied it to my iPad. It just fell off. But it was a fantastic place. The food's great. Everybody's super nice. It's beautiful. Really can't recommend it highly enough. Our producer there was fantastic, super experienced. She had just worked on Paddington, Paddington 3, Paddington in Peru, and Transformers 7. So we were like
oh
tiny little
yeah.
project that followed on these massive Hollywood movies that went to Peru. um, and it was a really nice opportunity for us because the writer Juliana and I like are both very invested in making these travel movies that we think are trying to really showcase the place. And so we had an opportunity to visit and look and then kind of revise the script to match what we found. And it was a really nice dovetail of location and places we visited and things we could do, and the script that kind of meshed really nicely where each scene was actually set in the place that we filmed it, and that place was interesting. Like getting to go to the Mata salt mines, like they're incredible looking and also interesting. So it's like you could throw a couple facts in there about it, go shoot it there. It looks great. Like what's not to love?
Yeah, for sure. I was watching the movie and I was like learning a lot. And there was like really beautiful locations with the Rainbow Valley with all the different colors. I was like, what? Really? Okay, I wish I could turn back time, go back to high school. I'm like, okay, Dad, let's go. Let's go. So maybe in the next couple of years I will be able to go visit South America as well as Barcelona, Spain. So we'll see about that. But it really, I didn't learn from Alex interview. I think it was the interview with you, Alex and Rihanna. Something was hurt of hormones with Noah and Kristen that I found out like back to back with polar opposites and then jumped to Peru. I was like, okay, weather change, altitude change, and time zone maybe, but that must have been a challenge for everybody because I could tell a little bit Rhiannon and Alec were a little bit thick because moving from one location to another, and there was like a whole bunch of different altitudes in different locations of South America while filming a specific part of the movie.
Yeah. So Alec came in just for the second one. We had Marky and Tarasiuk on Polar Opposites as the number
Yeah.
two. And so after we finished Polar Opposites in Peru, but at a really high altitude, like I think 17,500 feet. So it's like as high as the base camp of Everest, and people got super sick. Rhiannon was very ill. Poor Rhiannon. And we had, I think, a week to get the second movie ready. And I mean, fortunately, we were already in Cusco, so we just dove straight in. But it was, it was an interesting gear change for sure.
Yeah, I was like, I should find it amazing that a lot of actors or actresses will do back to back or maybe even two movies at the same time and try to make the schedule work. Well, film here, okay, have some time left, and then go to a different location and film because I learned way back when Christopher Palaha was filming Baltimore Christmas, another one of my favorite movies. I mean, I could
Well,
watch
thank
it
you.
over and over and over and just be in love with that movie. There was a Baltimore Christmas, and he was also doing The Shift, and he was there, and it was like back to back. I'm done with this. I jump into this. So I should want to give kudos to anybody who does back to back movies, going from one location, hot location, to a cold location, or a cold location to a warm semi climate. So it's really amazing, but I'm sure it's challenging because you have to get your body ready and fit in with the climate or the pressure.
You got to learn all the lines too, and like honestly, give the
Yeah.
movie the attention it deserves in terms of internalizing all of the components and the story beats and the location. Because when you're making a movie, you have to be able, if somebody says like, does the purse appear in scene 73B, you have to be like, yes, right? Like you have to just know, because you just know there's no time. So it's like, if you I've been shooting a different movie, you have to finish that one and then get the new one in your head in time to do all that prep and planning and like drive around and look at stuff and be like, yes, this will work, this won't, etc. So it is definitely a gear change. But on the flip side, we used the whole same crew. So everybody was already working together very well. And frankly, it's a crew that I'm about to work with again, but that we've done a bunch of movies together now, most of us starting with Love in the Maldives. And then a number also were on Costa Rican Wedding. And so we all work very well together. It's a very small crew, but they're very, very good. And it means you start day one, you just like, instead of arriving and being like, how does all this equipment work? Like who carries the cards from here to there? You just go.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed all of those movies. They were just beautiful. And the production and the story, the plot. So I'm watching the movie, I'm like, okay, I need to know what was the challenge. Or I see one part of them, and I'm like, that could have been a challenge or a fun part. So, Peru, Machu Picchu, Peru. I heard you had limited equipment because it was only shot by maybe one camera. How did that come to a point where you couldn't have all of these equipment because of a limited space or because of the pressure, the altitude, and all that? Okay, one camera. Let's go. Get it done.
Well, that the one camera thing is, so the movies that I have been doing are acquisitions, right? They're not Hallmark originals. Like Biltmore was a Hallmark original. So when we did that, we had a lot to
Okay.
work with. We have to figure out how to make this movie for the same price as the smallest Hallmark movie you've seen, right? Like I just say, like, I also worked on Trivially True Christmas. I think it was actually called Christmas at St. Nick's when it came out, which, like, that movie had 4 times the budget, and it was like bar trivia. But we have to go to Peru and shoot a movie on Machu Picchu for like a quarter of that. So it's really all about efficiency, and we just need to have a very small team. So we decided to do it one camera, and I started doing that on Maldives. And basically, we have 2 camera bodies, one which is ready to go on gimbal, and one which is ready for tripod dolly. And so that way we don't have to take time to rebuild it, and we can just move very quickly back and forth. And so, we do a lot of essentially we're trading a lot of stuff for a fantastic place. And so I always say like we would shoot I shot a lot of Christmas movies, right? And it's like you shoot them in the summer and you go to like I was one movie Christmas at Pemberley Manor that I did years ago. They were shooting this scene in a park and it was July. And I'm like, we might as well be shooting this scene on Pluto. Like we can't show anything here. It's all green. So everything is going to be CG or dressed. So we dress like this one narrow little spot, and you can see this person's close up and this person's close up. So I'm like, what if we just went to a place where everywhere you look is beautiful, and then you'd have fewer resources, but you can't go wrong because it's like what's behind them. Oh, it's like the ruins of Pisac. It's phenomenal, right? So that's the trade we make. We go to an amazing place and then we work with less stuff when we get there. Um, but I like it. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, that would be nice working with that Queen Britain. But you should go there, take the shot. If you take good, pack up and go instead of having all of this mumbo jumbo. If you could be there like forever, so I get that.
Yeah.
Out of a
And it is
challenge.
a little bit of a different mindset too, in the sense that you have to plan um like a largely natural light shoot, right? Like when the Pisac ruin scene, for instance, when in Machu Picchu Proposal, when they're sitting talking about the kiwicha and like sitting up on, which is gorgeous. We ended up shooting that in the morning, and I thought we were going to shoot it in the evening. So where we chose to do it was based on where the sun would be at that time of day, so that because we don't have big
Mm,
lighting frames and we had no lights, so it's like we adapt the scene to fit the environment and the appearance and the light, and like you just have to kind of do that planning as you go to shoot what's available to you and not what you want to make exist.
right. Out of all of the movies we've directed, from what I've known and seen, Machu Picchu Proposal, um, Polar Opposites. I really enjoyed that movie too. Costa Rican Ready, Love with the Maldives. Which of these projects was challenging when it comes to, I don't know, the weather, the location, or something comes up that day that you had to adjust your schedule? What were one of the challenges in any of these movies?
They each have their own challenges based on where you are. Um, Machu Picchu Proposal was generally speaking a pretty smooth shoot, but in Peru you kind of can't predict exactly or at least in the valley, you can't predict exactly what the weather's going to be when. So it's like it's overcast, and then 20 minutes later it's sunny, and then it rains, and then it's sunny, and like the weather report's just wrong. So you can't count on that. So like when we were shooting on Machu Picchu, we would start a scene and then it would start raining, and then we put up a little square and we shot under that, and then it stopped raining. We went back out and we finished the scene. So you kind of have to be flexible to deal with the weather. And then, Polar Opposites was hard because it was supposed to be Antarctica. So it's just very difficult, cold, snowy locations, like just getting around when it's snow up to your knees. Um, it's hard, right? Like moving all equipment and getting there and getting out for lunch. And the fact that everything had to be faked to look like Antarctica. We had to go to these really weird places, top of a mountain here, the top of a mountain here, the shore. So that was difficult. And then in Greece, we had a lot of scheduling uh, issues. And in the Maldives, like who knew? Like it's so sunny, and the sun is like right overhead. So at noon, those like white beaches are like you can't walk on them;
Yeah.
your feet'll burn. It's wild. So it's like there's something everywhere. And it's part of the interesting thing about doing these travel movies. It's like we're going to this place that none of us have been before, and we find out what these challenges are and then have to solve them. So it's like do your best to
Yeah,
guess
I
and
mean,
plan and
I've heard a lot of stories or experiences with actors and other directors with destination movies because, like you said, as a child, I've never been in the country, so I don't know what the people are going to be like, or I don't know what is going to interrupt their culture or everyday kind of thing. So most places got lucky and they were able to have a good positive rapport. And most of them will be helpful and be friendly. And some of them, no, we can have a Burmese block. That's it. Before or after? No, there. Because I'm not sure if I'm thinking right, but I think one of the biggest challenges or the biggest was blaming on Ireland because I don't know how much daylight they have or how soon it becomes dark or whatever, but there was one part of Ireland or village like from here to here. That's it. You do the thing and have extras or do the movie but before the time or after the time. No. That was the okay. So it's really fascinating to learn and try to schedule the movie or the filming to make everybody, including the people who are making the movie, to do their job.
Yeah, it's it's an interesting business, and this like every movie is different, and you find that's part of what keeps it interesting, is just finding the new challenges. But like even on polar opposites, like we added the cruise ship
Yeah.
to get some time away from uh, Antarctica, but we had to shoot on a cruise ship, and like that cruise ship was operating. It had guests on it. We were in the water, and there's a whole slew of new problems I never thought of. Like a room you would scout that was quiet one day, the next day would be super loud. There was one day we were trying to shoot in the hold, and then they had a fire drill, and like it was just people running through with hoses. In our set, there was a guy in there with a hose and a fire suit, and then you even simple stuff. You're like, oh, we'll shoot on this side of the boat in the morning, and then this side of the boat in the afternoon. But the boat just does this, and so you get on that side of the boat, and suddenly it's all front lit and horrible. Or there's a bunch of drunk people in the pool. Like it's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
new
I was
every time.
wondering, like, I'm almost never really seen any Hallmark movies that involving ship cruise or simple ship like Love at the Danube River or whatever, but like a cruise like the new Hallmark series right now, Christmas at Sea. And polar opposite. So I was just don't care. Like you said, it's an actual ship. There's actually people on there, but also not involved in the movies. So you have to like take that in consideration. Okay, I want to film 5 pages of the script. So we need this part of the ship. And so how did that challenge or that was worked out so no bother the people or you're not in their way. So I find that really interesting, but we somehow made it work. And I think the whole movie, I'm like, oh, they made it work, but it must be not easy.
Yeah, it was a dance every day, as you kind of discover what interrupts them and what the ship is okay with and what the guests are okay with and what you can do and you can't do. And it's definitely a learning process. And it would be different if I did it again because now I know how a cruise ship operates, and I didn't really at the beginning. But
No,
or one
what
of
that,
that
yeah,
size, right? Because it's like a small cruise ship. It's not a huge
for
number of
sure.
guests.
Do you have a favorite dream filming location that you want to be able to direct a movie?
Oh, for sure. I think the three that I've pitched recently are, which I think Rhiannon mentioned, that we've been trying to do Japan. So we'd love to do Japan. Uh, I also want to do Mongolia. I have a really cool Mongolia story. My wife is working in Mongolia literally right now, so I've been there and it's spectacular. And also, I'd like to do Egypt. I don't think I've talked to anyone about that yet, and there's some safety concerns,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, that would be
I
really
want to
good
do it.
location. Now I want to know the story or the script that could be involved in one of those 3 locations.
I
That,
also pitched the Galapagos Islands. I don't know how if that goes anywhere, but we'll see.
yeah, I could do a story or direct a movie related with I don't know the climate or endangered species, and then the boy meet girl, and then go from there.
Yeah, well, getting the story right is definitely an important step too, but often we start with
For sure.
where.
Now, out of all of the movies you directing, people you take on a job, what is your vision? What is your philosophy in directing a movie? What is your process like with the cast, with the script, and the location? What did it take for you to prep, to direct the movie, commanding, telling people what to do to make the movie?
Well, ideally, we're all making the same movie, and I find that well, ideally, in my mind, the director's job is making sure that everybody is making the same movie. So it's less like telling people what to do than it is being the guardian of the story and the kind of the decision maker, the ultimate decision maker for the which choice you're going to make, right? Like you all know this is the scene we're doing. But then there's a lot of little individual questions that come up about how it's going to feel, how it's going to flow, how what the props are going to be, what the action's going to be, what the characters are thinking, and it's like your job is to centralize and make those decisions and make sure that we're all on the same page. And so often that's in prep, it's talking about tone and style and like what kind of performances are you going for, what kind of comedy are you going for, what's the pace going to be like, talking about character and what people are thinking and what their journey is, personal journey. And I like to work with because I acted, I like to work with actors, and I like working with actors who are committed, who are prepared, and then also feel comfortable talking to me about their ideas, so that we can kind of find a character that is the best meeting of the minds. And hopefully, I was actually saying, like, sometimes you write the script. I mean, not, I usually don't, but the writer writes the script. I'm often involved in development, right? And then as you do the drafts, you kind of find the through line in it. And then the goal, once you've seen that, you kind of focus in on it and pull it out and make that the focus. So it's an iterative process, and the more time you have, the more attention you can pay, the more you can focus on the strengths.
Do you enjoy acting or do you enjoy directing?
Uh both. I'm not a good actor though. I don't act anymore, but I did for. Uh, Occasionally you'll see me in a role that I am not seeking out. Like I think in Greek Recipe for Romance, I was her interviewer when she was applying for the job, just because we ran out of time and had to throw somebody on the screen in the cut.
Is there anybody you wish you want to work with on a movie? Are there any actor or actress or a team that you wish you work with eventually in the future of any kind of movie, Hallmark or non-Hallmark?
Oh,
Anybody, everybody, pretty much.
oh man. Yes, but I don't know which to go with. So let me skip that one. This is too many choices.
Right. Yeah, because everybody's talented and everybody comes together in like one big happy family. So yeah, I understand that. What's next for you? Well, the upcoming project or anything you could discuss if you can, we'll drop it.
Yeah, no, I am actually heading off in 30 minutes to go do another destination movie. I don't think I can say where, unfortunately, but or who's in it. But I'm very excited for this one, and right from the kind of initial question of the concept, I was on board. So it's definitely going to be a very difficult one, and one that it draws on a lot of the things that I've kind of unintentionally ended up specializing in. I realized when I was on the Newport movie earlier this year as a producer, and I was talking to somebody. We were talking about the last few I've done, and I was like, Machu Picchu Proposal is one of the few movies I've done that doesn't have boats in it. I was like, I do so many boat movies. And so guess what I got? But it does have animals. So like boats are animals, and like this one I got gonna have boats and animals. but hopefully worth it because beautiful place.
Nice, nice. Now I'm thinking what location. Location hot or cold or in between.
Hot.
Hot. Okay. I'm gonna have to think about
Hot.
it. Well,
Yeah.
out of all of the movie to have like a special memory. Experience making any movie. You can pick any or each movie. Do you have a favorite special memory that really made the project better?
Oh yeah. I mean, with every movie, looking back, you can kind of think of what your favorite and least favorite moments were, and the ones that were very positive experiences. I can are easier to think back on. For me, Costa Rica wedding was an amazing experience. And I think back to that the first week of that movie, we dove right in and we did all of the jungle stuff with Rhiannon and Chris being lost in the jungle. And it was just so fun because like Costa Rica is beautiful. Um, and we got to do some really cool fun things. Like we built a mudslide in a hill, right? Like, how do you do that? That's crazy. And then we had to make it pour on them. And Rhiannon and Chris are both super well prepared, super fun, and just working with them, it felt like playing. Like we were very efficient. We still shot everything, but they had ideas, and I love that. So like we did right on one of the first days in that movie, we did the scene where they climb a tree. She climbs a tree, and then she comes down, and they were like, I don't remember whose idea it was, but they were like, what if I ran? It's like, what if I climb on his shoulders instead of getting on the ground because my shoes are still on the ground? And I'm like, that's really funny. And then he's like, well, what if I like start walking while she's on my shoulders? I'm like, yeah, you could keep arguing while she's on your shoulders. And so then we just did it. And we were just like, all right, so there's like walking around with her on his shoulders and they're still arguing like before they realize her shoes are on the ground. And it's stuff like that where it's like, it wasn't planned exactly that way, though the spirit was there. And it just makes it better, right? Everything you find like that is making the movie better. And so that experience was really fun, except for the heat and the bugs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I was watching all of them and trying to like figure out how they make it really, really good. Like she kept looking for the pearl, trying to find the way into the monkeys. I was like, okay, they're gonna be working with wild animals and out of the forest. We never really could tell what could happen or they will actually find it because it's part of the movie. Thought which is really interesting to see how that played out because you never know what could happen out in the rainforest or with some unexpected animals.
Yeah. And it's also, it's an interesting challenge when you start off doing something like that. And it's like in the script, it says, like, the monkeys steal the backpack. And you're like, how do I make that happen? Yeah. Like,
If you pretend have a monkey come by the backpack and then boom, then block it off and take the backpack and the monkey goes away. Have to do
how do
something
you
like
how do you
that.
make a monkey do
But
anything? Like
the
they don't care
banana,
what you
although
want.
who knows?
Yeah, no, that is the answer. I tried to trick them with bananas. I just go out every morning before we would start and try to like I found where the monkeys went, and then I had this backpack, and I would try to trick them with bananas and just stealing a backpack and then take video of it.
Definitely. All right. That really pretty much the kind of the questions I have for you. So I know it's like a really quick chat through interview so you can catch your flight. But I always give an opportunity for the guests at the end of the podcast if they have any comments or questions they want to know about the cast chat before we close up.
Um, Actually, I guess since I have some the sign language side of this thing, I would say, do you have any thoughts or requests for how movies are shot in terms of accessibility and just making them, what should we be thinking of that we're not aware of?
But that ability, well, let me think. If you're gonna be working with, I don't know, a deaf actor or someone that is on the premise or whatever, you should have to make sure their needs or whatever. But when the movie comes out or when it aired, whatever, it always had caption. We always have to make sure the TV or any app had the closed caption turned on. Sometimes there were a couple of movies that were out on Hallmark Plus last year or the year before. Two movies had caption, and the other two movies didn't have caption, and they were part of a movie theater. So I was like, okay, I need to. How can I watch the other two? But then again, when they expanded more on Hallmark Channel or other streaming platforms, the caption became available. So you should have to keep an open mind because each that individual is different. I mean, some will only rely on interpreters. Some will rely on lip reading or talking and having interpreters. I mean, I always have my interpreter for each podcast interview because it's hard for me to talk and sign at the same time because it doesn't always match up. So I always have a team of interpreters for myself and for the people out there who subscribe to the cat chat.
Also, just like I don't know how the captions are perceived. Like, do you have like opinions of what makes for good or bad quality captions that filmmakers should know about?
Well, if you watch YouTube with captions, that's the bad quality.
Well, yeah, well,
Sometimes
those
they
are
will
not
have
translated right,
some
right?
word mixed up. And believe that I'm going to use the current word on that. But I was watching the latest episode of Christmas at Sea, the Hallmark documentary on the cruise, and they were doing Mr. Shipment, like who's the Hallmark hunk on the cruise the ship. So they had several contestants, and a lot of my fans are texting me, messaging me on Instagram. They said, did you catch it? They didn't say shipment. They said Mr. Shepherd or Mr. Shipment. I don't know what are you talking about. The captions are not always accurate, so I'm not sure if it was how it was done by the person or how it really came out. For myself as a teacher, but I am a high school teacher for the Dr. Holy Puritan program at my school. I always have to make sure that YouTube almost 98% accurate, but if it's less than, I don't know, 70, not worth it to share or show my students because it's like, okay, like 50 to 70% off the point, then I would have to find something else that kind of has the same topic, same theme. So, I mean, YouTube is like a hit or a miss. It depends on who makes the documentary, who makes the interviews, or how they speak. Because they were just or talking too fast, of course, you're gonna have a lot of typos. That's
Oh,
what
I'm
happened
sure.
with the episode I cooked with the tea. I took a screenshot and I sent it over to Jonathan Bennett. I'm like, look what you said on national TV. He was like, whoa, it's the caption, it's the spelling. I did not say that. It was like, so there were a lot of silly mistypos with captions, so just have to be careful. But most of all, I would say YouTube, sometimes movies, but not often.
Interesting. Because I mean, I feel like captions often are done, they're done by a separate team, but where sometimes they're more apart. Like I did a couple of movies in Greece where there are large portions in Greek. And then we ended up spending a lot of time thinking about what would be captioned, what wouldn't be captioned, things that wouldn't be translated at all because we didn't want people to understand them. And then you start getting into like, okay, well, do we notate sound cues or just words? And I don't know, it's interesting. It's just this thing I haven't really thought about very much, and I figured I would ask, you know.
Yeah, and also I asked some of the actors or whatever because I know sometimes some movies have a challenge with the scene or filming, but they can't do it, so they do ADR. So
Oh yeah.
I have noticed in some movies, I'm watching very closely or if I'm interviewing a director or an actor or an actor that they tell me that if you watch this movie very closely at the scene where I'm at the Christmas market and I'm about to have an argument with this other character, you will see my mouth moving slower and the caption or the talking is like delayed. I was like, oh, really? So I've seen a little bit of that. So I find it fascinating. And I know ADR could be a challenge because you have to like
It's hard, yeah.
master timing. So like with the destination movies, if they're doing a little bit of a different language, most of the time they will have, I think, I don't know, automatic subtitles of their language, but my caption will show up English or the other way around. So you have to play with the setting, and I'm not sure how Hallmark does it or how movies include subtitles and then somehow it comes out English or vice versa. So
Yeah, I mean, I think technically often the answer is the subtitles. Like if we're translating Spanish to English, the subtitles are done by editorial and the captions are done by a caption provider and then they're put together at the last second. So it's like they don't no one ever sees them at the same time, which is not great. But so many of these things they get finished like Polar Opposites. We handed that movie in and it was not done. Like we had such a short post period. There were things where like literally we're rendering the file and like throwing it in the movie, and no one's even looked at it because there's just no time. Um, so it's amazing these things happen at the last minute sometimes. But it's an
for
interesting
sure,
thought.
yeah. It was a really cute movie. I really liked it. Like with the penguin and then trying to rescue him. So it was a really cute movie. Very cute.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Colin, if there's nothing else, I really want to appreciate your time for coming on to the Cat Chat podcast. And hopefully down the road in the future, after a couple of more movies you've directed, I'll be happy to have you come back on to talk about the next couple of projects down the road.
Sounds great.
Great. Have a great flight. Safe travels.
Thank you very much. I think my car just arrived, so off I go.
All right. Take care, Colin. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you both.
Bye.
Sorry I talked so fast.
That's all good.
Bye.
Bye. All right.